Hello, and thanks for joining me for this Wheel and Anchor webinar featuring our upcoming active wellness trip to the Austrian Alps. Now, I've had the privilege of leading trips all over the world, but this one is particularly close to my heart because Austria isn't just a destination for me, it's part of who I am. In fact, my father was born in Austria. I went to school in one of the towns on this itinerary, and I even wrote a book about the place. So when I say that this is one of the most enriching and rewarding trips on our calendar, I really mean it. This itinerary is built around the Austrian idea of wellness, which goes far beyond just spa visits. It's all about clean air, cold mountain water, hearty food, daily movement, and time spent in nature. Over the course of 15 days, we'll explore alpine valleys and historic spa towns. We'll walk through some peaceful forest trails, soak in the thermal springs, and connect with the slower rhythms of life in the Alps. Now, over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through the full itinerary day by day, and I'm going to show you what makes this trip so special, not just as a travel experience, but as a way to reconnect with yourself. If you've joined us for a webinar before, feel free to skip ahead using the time markers below. But if you're new to Wheel and Anchor, I invite you to stick around with me for the next couple of slides as I introduce you to who we are and how we travel. So before getting into the itinerary, let me share a bit about what makes Wheel and Anchor different, because we're not just another tour company. We're in fact a community of Canadian travelers united by a shared philosophy that the most meaningful experiences happen when you take a little more time to go beyond the surface of a destination, and just as importantly, when you share those moments with like-minded people. I'll get into that more in a moment, but if you're watching this, you probably have a travel bucket list somewhere. I certainly got one. Most travelers do. Maybe it's written down, maybe it's online somewhere, or maybe it's just in your head. But here's what I've learned after 3 decades of organizing travel for Canadians. It's just that the real magic of travel often lies beyond those bucket list places. It's about the unexpected moments, like inadvertently taking a subway the wrong way in a foreign city, or discovering a cool part of town that you wouldn't otherwise have seen. Or maybe it's even poking your head into a restaurant that's not quite open yet, but and then you get invited in by the chef for an impromptu conversation. These are the kinds of stories that we tell when we get home because they fall outside the structured part of any organized trip. But perhaps more importantly, it's about who you're sharing these experiences with. And there's something uniquely comforting about exploring the world with fellow Canadians, people who just get you, who speak your language literally and figuratively, and who often become lifelong friends rather than just fellow travelers you'll maybe never see again. So if you value good conversation and a shared laugh in some surprising places, not to mention the freedom to uh, connect authentically or explore independently, you might just have found your home with us here at Wheel and Anchor. Now, our travel philosophy centers on two fundamental goals that transform how you experience the world. We call them being well traveled and well connected. So, let me talk for a second about being well traveled. And this isn't a race to collect passport stamps, it's more of a practice of presence. Sometimes I call it the curious wanderer's mindset, slowing down, tuning in, and allowing a place to reveal itself on its own terms. When you savor the rhythms, the stories, and the everyday rituals around you, a journey shifts from sightseeing to insight, becoming an experience that shapes you long after you've returned home. If you think about your truly well traveled friends, those are the ones with the most unique stories and experiences, not to mention learnings from their travels around the world. Secondly, we're all about being well connected. And this is where Wheel and Anchor differs from conventional tour operators because connection isn't just about your fellow travelers, it's about how travel deepens your relationship with the world. We point out the places where you can actually interact with locals and have the kinds of conversations you might have with folks back home on the other side of town. Together, these elements create what we call the Wheel and Anchor transformation. You return home carrying more than just souvenirs. You'll have newfound perspectives that enrich your daily life and lasting friendships that continue inspiring you long after your luggage is unpacked. This is the kind of travel that changes you. So I'm going to say a couple more things before I delve into the details of this trip, and I want to tell you a little bit about who we are. Who are the people of Wheel and Anchor beyond our members, of course. So first of all, my name is Gordon Drager. I'm the founder of Wheel and Anchor, and as I mentioned, I've been working in and around the travel industry for just about 35 years. I've organized trips for Canadians to just about all parts of the globe. But I couldn't pull off all these promises that I've just talked about without an incredible team of people, all of whom are as dedicated to ensuring that we deliver some of the best experiences for our members. The person who's most important for you, though, is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnik. You can see a picture of her here to my right. She is the person, when you drop us a note or give us a call, who will most likely be frontline to make sure that your questions get answered and to assist you in joining us if you decide to come along on this or any of our trips. So let's now dive into what makes our active wellness trip in the Austrian Alps so special. Let me first give you a little bit of an overview of how this is going to go. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to be your virtual guide. I'm going to take you on a little journey around the Austrian Alps and share what you can expect from this incredible trip. We'll start with a quick geographical overview, looking at the map, and then I'll walk you through the highlights of each day of our adventure. Now, if you're curious about what an active wellness style of trip is, let me tell you. Active wellness at Wheel and Anchor pairs energizing activities with restorative practices in wonderful natural settings. Morning might see us trekking alpine trails that stimulate the cardiovascular health, while afternoons invite us to just relax in thermal springs or maybe some mindful stretching on alpine meadows. Along the way, we sample some terrific local cuisine, we learn regional wellness traditions, and share the journey with a close knit community of your fellow members. The aim here is to return home stronger, calmer, and inspired, while at the same time having experienced some extraordinary sights and unique culture along the way. So, as I said, first I want to give you some bearings before I dive into the day by day part. Austria, as you probably know, sits in the heart of Central Europe, and it looks like a small country on the map of the world. But most people really only know about Vienna and Salzburg, but there's so much more to it than that. The Alps cover actually three-quarters of the country and comprise soaring peaks and lush valleys and glacial lakes, as well as historic towns tucked into the quiet corners of the mountains, just like the ones we're going to visit on this trip. This journey takes us through three distinct regions of Austria, each offering a different expression of the country's culture, wellness traditions, as well as the alpine beauty. We'll start off by flying to Munich in Germany, and this is a perfect gateway that can be flown direct from many cities in Canada. And after we spend a quick night there, we'll gather the group and head south into the Austrian Alps, where we'll spend the first number of days in Bad Hofgastein, a spa town known for its thermal waters, its pine covered slopes, and its fresh mountain air. From there, we'll travel into Austria's historic Lake District, with time in Bad Ischl, once the imperial summer capital of the Austro Hungarian Empire. Here, we'll walk in the footsteps of royalty. We'll follow forest trails and enjoy some panoramic views over the lakes and ridgelines. And finally, we'll end up in Salzburg itself, a city steeped in Baroque elegance and musical legacy, the birthplace of Mozart, as you probably already know. It's a perfect place to reflect on the restorative journey that we'll have just taken through one of Europe's most beautiful alpine regions. So let's now dive into the day by day details of our Active Wellness Austrian Alps program. First, we fly to Munich Airport, which has, at the time of this recording anyway, nonstop flights from both Toronto and Calgary, but there's plenty of one stop connections available from most other cities in Canada. After landing at Munich Airport, we'll head straight to the nearby town of Freising, a smaller, relaxed little place that makes for a gentler start. This is, in fact, one of Bavaria's oldest settlements. It's home to Europe's oldest working brewery, with a history stretching back to the 11th century. The town itself invites a quiet wander down cobble lanes, onion dome towers, and a traditional main square where life moves at an easy pace. It's a chance to adjust to the time zone, get to know your fellow travelers, and take a breath before we head into the Alps. Of course, those who are eager for some urban adventuring, central Munich is not far away and it can be reached by a local commuter train in about 30 minutes. Regardless of whether you go into the city or just take a short walk to settle in, arrival day is all about arriving, not just in place, but in mindset. This trip is all about wellness after all. On our first full day in Europe, we'll make the drive south along the German and Austrian autobahns, arriving after a few hours in the spa town of Bad Hofgastein, where we can settle in to the rhythm of valley life. After breakfast and before leaving, though, we'll have a short orientation with our host to give us a sense of what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And then we'll begin our drive into the Gastein Valley, arriving in at Bad Hofgastein, which will be our base for the next several nights. Let me share a few words about it from my last visit. Welcome to Bad Hofgastein, Austria. This is the town for part of our active wellness program. We're going to be spending a week here exploring the amazing mountain scenery that the Central Alps has to offer, as well as availing ourselves of what this valley is so well known for, which is the thermal hot springs that emerge from deep in the mountains. And so there are some fantastic wellness facilities here. The Bad Hofgastein Alpentherme, which is a wellness center with massive heated pools, a huge sauna complex, really quite a state-of-the-art facility that is really a highlight of anyone's wellness stay, and it's certainly part of our program here. After a great night's sleep in that alpine air, we're going to start our first day in Bad Hofgastein by taking the high trails above the valley for a walk among some ancient stone pines and having a traditional alpine lunch with a view. We're going to head out to one of the two major lift stations in the area, either the Schlossalm or, if the conditions allow, the Graukogel, which is known for its role in World Cup ski racing and its high altitude pine forest. The Graukogel offers a rewarding walk at nearly 2,000 meters above sea level. So, depending on what our guide determines is best on the day, we'll either take a cable car or a chairlift up to the summit, and we'll begin a loop along a magnificent trail where centuries old trees line a quiet and well-marked path. The views over the valley below are wide and clear, and the air is mountain fresh. Midway through the walk, though, we'll stop at a rustic mountain hut, a working alpine kitchen where simple regional dishes are served with a lot of heart. Think about fresh bread, local cheese, and maybe a schnapps or two. After lunch, we descend by lift and return to town, restored in more ways than one. And just a quick note, though, that our precise itinerary will, of course, be influenced by the wind and weather, which is quite changeable in the Alps. And our local guide will make the best decision based on all of this. Now, before I go on, let me share with you a few more words from Bad Hofgastein and specifically the place where we're going to be staying. I'm standing here in front of the Hotel Völzerhof in Bad Hofgastein, Austria. This is our home for part of our Austrian Alps active wellness journey. And this is a classic example of Austrian hospitality. This is a family-owned business. Benny Lang and his family have operated this hotel for generations. It is charming inside. The service is so warm, friendly, and also executed to perfection. And so this is really one of my favorite stops for our active wellness trip. Now, today's agenda is all about choice, whether that means unwinding in the thermal waters or heading out for a bit more alpine adventure. This is your day to do exactly what feels right, which is a core part of the idea behind wellness. You don't need for someone to tell you what to do. You only need to choose based on how you feel. For example, you have the option to visit the Alpentherme that I talked about a moment ago. This is one of Austria's leading thermal spa complexes. It's got outdoor pools, spring-fed swimming lakes, saunas with panoramic views, as well as special zones reserved exclusively for women. It's a peaceful space designed for real rest and rejuvenation. An important thing to point out, though, in Austria, as is the case all across Central Europe, the sauna complex, which includes numerous different types of saunas and steam baths, are enjoyed without clothing or swimsuits by both men and women simultaneously. This will undoubtedly be a bit of an eye-opener for many of our members, but those who've participated in our past groups have always found a way to enjoy this experience within their own comfort zone. This is really what embracing local culture is all about. Now, if you prefer for a more active day, our local guide, together with our host, can help arrange hikes or local excursions, You might want to do a walk through the Kitzlochklamm Gorge, where wooden walkways trace narrow rock walls and rushing waterfalls. Or otherwise, you could visit Zell am See, a lakeside resort town with alpine views and a scenic promenade. However, you spend it, today is about tuning in and choosing what feels good. Now, on this day, we're going to travel deep into the highest part of the Gastein Valley, exploring some alpine trails surrounded by wide meadows and rugged peaks. We're going to head out on what's called the Wanderbus, which is effectively the hiker's bus, up to a place called Sportgastein, a high altitude plateau at nearly 1,900 meters above sea level, located within the Hohe Tauern National Park. Now, this used to be the site of alpine mining, but today the area is protected. It's a quiet, open landscape of grazing pastures and glacier fed streams. Our local guide will tailor the walk to the group and the weather, with options ranging from gentle valley loops to more elevated trails with broader views. Now, whatever the path, you'll walk in the shadow of the Goldberg Range, a lesser known but breathtaking corner of the Alps. Along the way, we'll stop at one or two mountain huts, simple alpine shelters where you can enjoy soup, local cheese, or a drink before continuing on. By mid afternoon, we'll return back to Bad Hofgastein by bus, refreshed by mountain air and alpine silence. Today's walk is going to link the two principal spa towns of the valley, and it's going to take us past waterfalls, through forest trails, and to the faded glamour of 19th century Bad Gastein. Our walk will take us along the Gastein High Trail, which is a scenic path that gently climbs through meadows and forest with long views over the valley. About halfway along the trip, the trail narrows into the Gdaunera Gorge, where we pass under a waterfall and through two short tunnels carved into the rock. These give us just enough drama to feel like we're walking through a secret passage. From there, we continue on into Bad Gastein itself, and this is a dramatic spot built into the cliffside. It was once called the Monte Carlo of the Alps and was known for its curative springs, its grand hotels, and the imperial visitors who came here. This afternoon, we'll soak in the town's Felsentherme, and a 3 hour visit will give us time to rest, float, and take in the mountain views. And then it'll be back to Bad Hofgastein, warmed up and relaxed. Today, we'll say goodbye to the Gastein Valley and journey into a different part of the Alpine region, the Lake District of Austria. We'll stop on the way in Hallstatt, which you might just recognize from having seen on a screen, and then we'll arrive into Bad Ischl. Austria's Lake District is called Salzkammergut. Now, I'm not going to test you on the pronunciation, I promise. This is a region of clear lakes, steep hillsides, and long imperial summers. As I mentioned, our first stop will be at the town of Hallstatt, a postcard-perfect village wedged between a cliff and a lake. It's known for its salt mining history and its timber-framed houses with window boxes. It's long been a favorite of painters, poets, and early travelers. Nowadays, it attracts zillions of tourists, which is why we won't stay long, but it is absolutely worth the visit, and you'll have time to walk along the lovely lakeside promenade, or visit the market square, or even climb up to the church terrace for views over the rooftops. From there, we make the short drive to Bad Ischl, a spa town once favored by the Habsburgs. For decades, it served as the summer home of Emperor Franz Joseph and Empress Elizabeth, otherwise known as Sissi, and I'll talk about her in a minute. We'll take a short orientation walk through the town center, ending with a visit at Café Zauner, a beloved pastry shop that still serves cakes and coffee just as it did 150 years ago. You have to be careful here. Last time I was there, I went back for seconds, which might defy the idea of eating healthy, although there's still lots of opportunity to work it off. Today's excursion is going to be a gentle alpine hike, ending with a traditional meal at a family-run mountain farm. We'll begin by walking straight out of the center of Bad Ischl, following a forest trail that traces the so-called Rettenbach stream as it winds through shaded woodland and open clearings. The path climbs steadily but comfortably, and it'll give us some great glimpses of the valley opening as we gain elevation. After about an hour and a half or so, we'll arrive at the Heusenrad. Now, remember, I'm not going to test you on the pronunciation. This is a fully functioning mountain farm set at 1,000 meters in altitude. and it's known for its friendly welcome and homemade food. This is the kind of place where simple ingredients shine. If the weather allows, we'll enjoy our lunch outdoors on long wooden benches looking out towards the peaks. The return will follow the same route downhill, and in total will cover about 9 kilometers with about 500 meters in elevation. It's a satisfying walk with a scenic and a delicious reward at the halfway point. Today's walk will take us up to the summit of Bad Ischl's local peak, and then we'll descend by cable car to spend the afternoon soaking in the town's thermal spa. Once again, we'll start with a slow and steady climb up the Katrin, a mountain that towers above Bad Ischl. This trail leads again through shaded forest and into the Kaltenbach wilderness, where moss-covered stones and a narrow gorge guide the way upward. As we reach higher ground, the trees give way to some panoramic views over Lake Wolfgang, the Dachstein Glacier, and if we're lucky and the skies are clear, even the stunning Lake Attersee in the distance. We'll pass the ruins of Wildenstein Castle and arrive at a mountaintop hut before descending back to the valley by cable car. It's a short ride, but gives us some wide open views of the whole Salzkammergut. All this walking comes with a reward, though, and in the afternoon it'll be time to engage in some lovely wellness, this time at the Eurotherme spa complex, where thermally heated saltwater pools and saunas offer the ideal way to relax and recharge. Today, we're going to take to the water to enjoy one of the region's pristine lakes, followed by a relaxed walk along the shore through some beautiful forests and meadows, as well as more storybook towns. We'll start off by heading over to Strobel, a small village on the eastern shore of Lake Wolfgang. And from here, we'll board a classic Lake Wolfgang boat gliding across the calm alpine waters with sweeping views of the forested hills and mountain ridges. Along the way, we'll pass a little town called St. Gilgen, where Mozart's family spent their summers. And finally, St. Wolfgang, which is known for its pilgrimage church and more ties to Austria's imperial era. Depending on the conditions, we'll either disembark at a little place called Gschwend or in St. Wolfgang itself, and we'll begin a peaceful walk back to the town of Strobel. The shoreline trail is mostly flat and well maintained, winding through the woods and the open meadows, which gives us regular views back across the lake. The walking time will be flexible, somewhere between an hour and a half and 3 hours, and we'll set the pace as a group. It's a calm and reflective day in one of Austria's most scenic corners. Today's walk will trace the favorite path of Empress Elizabeth, followed by a visit to the Kaiser Villa and a classic Austrian coffee break. So-called Kaiser Park, the landscape gardens behind the former imperial residence of Bad Ischl. From here, we'll follow a forest path up the Jeinsenberg, a wooded hillside where Empress Elizabeth, otherwise known as Sissi, walked daily during her summers in the town, often alone and at a quick pace. We'll hear a lot about Sissi during our time here. Although we know virtually nothing about her in Canada, she is as revered in Austria and other parts of German-speaking Europe as, for example, Princess Diana is in the English-speaking world. The trail she walked regularly rides gently through beech and pine forests with openings that reveal some wide views over the Ischl Valley and the surrounding peaks. It's an easy walk with around 200 or 300 meters of elevation and offers a quiet rhythm that feels both personal and reflective. After the walk, appropriately, we'll visit the Kaiser Villa, the summer home of Emperor Franz Josef and Sissi, where the original furnishings and personal belongings offer a rare glimpse into daily life at the height of the Habsburg era. We'll end the morning in classic Austrian fashion with coffee and cake, enjoyed just as the imperial household once did. Today will be another free day, whether you want to explore, revisit a favorite spot, or simply take things slow. You might choose to revisit Hallstatt. With its lakeside setting and timbered homes, it's easily reached by a short train journey, but the timing is key because it's a popular stop for day visitors. If you'd rather stay a bit local, the town's museum offers a window into its imperial past, with exhibits housed in a former 19th century hotel. If a hike is more up your alley, you could walk up to the Siriuskogel, which leads through trees to a small lookout tower and an inviting inn. It's a perfect spot for a drink with a view. Or you could just spend some time in town browsing the many shops, or sitting by the river with a coffee, or asking our guide to help arrange a small outing. This is, of course, the last chance to visit the thermal baths, and so that may well be the thing that is most appealing. There's no fixed agenda, just the space to do what feels right. We'll leave Bad Ischl and the Lake District behind today to head to Salzburg, a city of music, history, and elegant streetscapes. The trip from Bad Ischl to Salzburg will take but an hour and will arrive in Austria's cultural capital in one of its most admired cities. We'll check in and settle into our hotel and then set out on foot to explore the historic city center. Our walk will take us through Baroque church squares, narrow lanes lined with decorative facades, and the arcaded passages of the Getreidegasse, once home to guilds, merchants, composers, and of course, the birthplace of Mozart. From here, we'll see the Hohensalzburg fortress from multiple angles, perched above the rooftops and watching over the old town. While Salzburg gained global fame through The Sound of Music, much as the Game of Thrones or the White Lotus has on places today, our focus will be on its deeper historical layers as a seat of prince archbishops and a city shaped by salt wealth. Of course, if you're a fan of the film, many filming locations are nearby and easy to explore on your own. Our final full day in Austria is yours to shape as you wish. There'll be plenty of time for you to explore more of Salzburg. While the day itself is wide open, we'll have our guide available for you in the morning to give you some tips, but it's the perfect opportunity to do what suits you best. You might, for example, take an elevator up to the Museum der Moderne, perched on the Münchsberg Ridge, where contemporary art meets panoramic views across the old town. You could, of course, also visit the gardens of Hellbrunn Palace, where trick fountains and grottos offer a light-hearted look at 17th century design. The gents might be fascinated to visit Hangar 8 at Salzburg Airport, a glass airplane hangar full of Red Bull's most exciting aircraft. But if you prefer a slower rhythm, a walk along the Salzach River provides a peaceful path through the city with views of the fortress above and the Alps on the horizon. Whether you revisit a favorite cafe, browse a museum, or simply enjoy being here, this is a day to savor before the journey winds down. All good things must, of course, come to an end, and this morning after breakfast, we'll say goodbye to Austria. Depending on your flight time, you might enjoy one last stroll through Salzburg or settle in with a final cup of Austrian coffee and a slice of their notoriously delicious torts. Our private transfer will take you to the airport, wrapping up 2 weeks of scenic trails, mineral rich springs, good food, and even better company. You'll head home with not just memories, but a renewed sense of wellness and a pocketful of alpine stories to tell. If any of what I've talked about inspires you to consider joining us on our active wellness trip to the Austrian Alps, we've got lots more information available on our website, and you'll find the link in the description below this video on YouTube. And that will take you directly to the webpage, which has a summary of the trip and a link to download our detailed trip itinerary, which is a full-color digital brochure that will give you all of the trip details, including prices and terms and conditions, and everything else you need to know. Of course, you may still have some lingering questions or just want to know if this trip is right for you. And of course, we're happy to help. The best way is to drop an email to Paula and arrange a call, and she'll be more than delighted to assist you to answer any questions and ensure you have everything you need to join us on this trip. In closing, I want to thank you for joining me on this virtual journey covering our Active Wellness Austrian Alps trip, and I hope it's given you a bit of a glimpse of what you can expect. If you enjoy following our webinars on new trips, you might consider subscribing to this YouTube channel by clicking on that subscribe button, and that way every time I post a new video, you'll be alerted. Otherwise, thanks again for taking the time to explore a bit of Austria with me. You can tell I'm pretty passionate about this place. And finally, if you're not already on our newsletter list, I invite you to join our community, and perhaps we'll see you on one of our trips soon. I'd love to help you get started on this incredible adventure. Happy travels.